Hey everyone, welcome to Pencil versus Pixel. I'm Caesar and I have the pleasure of being joined today by Don Clark of Invisible Creature. Hey Don,
Hey, how's it going?
it's going great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, a little bit about Invisible Creature. They're an illustration and design studio located in Seattle, Washington. They've received 4 Grammy nominations for music packaging. They've worked with clients like Nike, MTV, Nickelodeon, Target, Wired, the New York Times. I could go on forever
Hmm.
on that. Um, so, Don, before we continue, pencil or pixel?
You know what? As much as I would just love to say pencil and be, that guy that stays true to his roots, I gotta say pixel. I do everything I do all my sketches on a Cintiq now. I've like
Nice.
almost like fully gone digital, which is actually kind of depressing. But I do occasionally still, rock the sketch pad if I need to get out of here. But I rely so much on my tools, and they are digital these days.
Awesome. So Don, I've talked a little bit about you. You've given a little background, but let's get to know you a little bit better. What's your story?
Uh, like how far back do you want to go?
As far as you like, man.
Man, so yeah, well, let's see. I'm originally from, I was born in San Jose, California, in the hood, actually, in San Jose. And we moved to Oregon, Bend, Oregon, Central Oregon, when I was real little. And my brother and I enjoyed living in the country, and we had some land, and it was definitely rural. It was definitely opposite of San Jose where we're used to. Uh, we loved our childhood. We had we just had a blast. A lot of imaginative play out in the country, and I think those years of playing with toys and being able to draw and just being outside was like pretty big for us and kind of played a big role, I think, in our future. When I was 14, we moved to Sacramento. My parents moved to Sacramento, California. My dad's a minister, and he took a job at a church in Sacramento, and so we moved to the city again, and that was kind of a bummer. We moved like right to like track home hell, like the suburbs, like not a lot going on, and that's where we found punk rock because there was nothing going on. So that's where we found music, started playing music, and I'm just like going, I'm speeding through this, but basically started playing music. Then we got signed fairly quickly to a label, and then we started touring and making albums. And that is when I can speak for both Ryan and I. That's when everything started. That's how we met our wives. That's how we met some of our best friends. That's where the company started. The relationships we built, playing music. It all started in our garage playing rock and roll. So. Flash forward, I've got 3 kids. We live in the country again. We were in the city for years, and we're my brother's still doing the band. I dropped out of the band about 4 years ago. I couldn't do everything anymore, and so he's still playing music, and I kind of cheer him on from the sidelines. But yeah, it's between Invisible Creature and family. I don't know how I even did it, to be honest with you, playing music. But that kind of brings us up to speed now. Lots has changed in the last 7 years. We started a company called Asterisk Studio in about 2000 with some friends, and that was pretty much specifically music. We started doing music packaging and posters, and we started IC in 2006, kind of split off mutually with some friends, and it's been Ryan and I kind of focusing on illustration, packaging, product design now. So it's been cool to see the evolution of the company, and yeah, we're super thankful and blessed.
That's awesome. So you started off with music, and would you say that that's where you sort of drew inspiration in the before starting Invisible Creature, before starting Asterisk?
Yeah.
Um, was most of your inspiration drawn from music, or were there other places that you were sort of?
Yeah, so growing up, if anyone knows our story, our grandfather was an illustrator at NASA for 30 plus years, and he was multidisciplinary, did a lot of different styles. And he was kind of he was the hero. We wanted to do what Grandpa did. He got paid to draw. His job was drawing, and we loved drawing. And the fact that you could make it a career, make it a job, was something that I think was with us from early on. And we were kind of just one direction to the art world. We knew that we were gonna do art, or we wanted to do art for a living eventually, and it was music for a while, and then it became design, and for my brother it's both. But so when it came time to start Asterisk, we were so deep in the music industry. That was our world, and so we fused our love of design and music, and with our relationships with the labels, we were able to get a lot of work in the early days. Those were pivotal moments for us, and jobs, because it allowed us to gain a pretty big portfolio fairly quickly. There was a lot of bands that were kind of up and coming, and getting signed to majors that we were friends with, and it really gave us a great pedestal. So yeah, I'm early on, definitely grandfather, then music, and kind of fusing the two, and bridging the gap. And we still do a lot of music these days. We don't do nearly enough. There's no way we could actually, run a company, I think, doing 100% design in the music industry these days. The market just doesn't allow for it, like it did back in the day. So luckily, we've been able to kind of branch out.
Who would you say was your first big client after starting off?
What's funny is back then you would have to go by band. So it was Papa Roach. Do you remember Papa Roach?
Yeah, dude.
So that was a band that was from our area, and they were friends of ours. And
That's so funny.
We got
actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I actually met them maybe 7 years ago at a bar.
Oh, really?
The whole band. They were recording in Silver Lake out here in LA, and
oh yeah. No, man, I haven't kept tabs of what they're doing, but they were huge back then, and that was like 1999. And we were friends with those guys, and they got signed. And this is before MySpace, and so we got their website. We were doing packaging and web design at the time, and I remember that was like we all bought Aeron chairs and nice desks, and we were like, dude, that was the beginning of the office. We were able to actually like get an office because of that job. But that's definitely our first biggest client. We all remember it vividly, and again, it's funny. There's band websites obviously to this day, but it's crazy how drastically that whole thing has changed the scope of those projects, especially when it comes to the web. So
I would imagine it was I don't remember visiting that website, but I can imagine it was one of the early Flash.
Yep.
Websites that were just things happening everywhere.
You got it. No,
Is that how it was?
That was totally what it was. We did so much Flash. My partner Dimitri Argis, who now works in another agency in Seattle, he was like the mastermind of all that stuff, and he's a super talented dude. So yeah, we would those are the types of sites we would deliver, and a lot of times we would get the job. We would do the packaging, the album packaging, and the website. That happened a lot. And so it was kind of cool. We were able to do like package deals quite a bit with bands and labels.
Yeah, that's awesome. So once you got that big gig, were different jobs sort of just coming left and right to you guys, or how did that kind of?
Yeah, it sounds crazy. It really was. It really was a cool time. It was one of those things where we would do an album art for a band that was pretty big in their genre, and they would go on tour with bands that were just as big and loved their album art, and wanted to know who did it, and they would throw our name out there, and we'd get a call. And so if you can imagine, there's a zillion bands out there. This is when MTV2 started. A lot of our friends were getting heavy rotation on MTV2. So there's a lot of bands in that scene, and we were doing a lot of the same type of music. Punk rock, indie, metal, a lot of that stuff we were doing. And it was, it sounds crazy. The phone was kind of, ringing off the hook a little bit.
Nice.
And so we were given this opportunity where we did a lot of records for Tooth and Nail Records, which had a lot of larger artists on it. And so we were, again, kind of thrown into this where these bands had a pretty big audience, and there's a lot of eyeballs on our work. And so we weren't, you know, years before we were doing some more obscure, random hardcore bands that no one really knew about. But this was a chance for us to kind of work with some established artists, and it just kind of went from there. So
Did
yeah.
you have to say no to a lot of bands or a lot
You know,
of projects?
when you're that young, you worry about saying no. So no, we said yes to like almost everyone. Yeah, we're like, well, we don't want to stop this momentum. Like there's always that fear in the back of your mind that they're going to stop calling. So no, we did so much stuff, man, so much.
How did you continue making it happen? Was it just a lot of sleepless nights or?
Yeah, it's just being, it was being young and scrappy. This is about 14 years ago. So this is before kids, and just we would work a lot of late nights. And this is, the kind of the building blocks of what I saw as what I want to do for my career. I knew it wouldn't probably be music forever, but I knew that if I put in the time now, while I don't have kids and as much responsibility, hopefully this thing could sustain itself down, over the long run. So it was a lot of work.
How did that transition to more? Well, let's talk about your transition from music packaging and working a lot with bands or working a lot with music labels to larger, more corporate companies. Was it a smooth transition? Was it also sort of like, hey, I know these guys, they do this kind of stuff. You might be interested in working with them.
Yeah, so those types of projects stemmed from poster design, and the silk screen poster boom, the second wave, I guess, of it happened in like '03, '02, and I was a huge fan of Jeff Kleinsmith, Aesthetic Apparatus,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I was from Sacramento, reading through CA and print, just looking at all the Sub Pop stuff, and so we always wanted to do posters. So we came up with the idea, well, why don't we just reach out to the clients that we already have and see if they want posters for their tours? And lo and behold, of course they do. So we started doing just a bunch of posters, and that really allowed us to flex our illustration chops. We were doing heavy design, a lot of photorealistic Photoshop stuff. Uh, and the posters allowed us to get back to drawing, which we kind of took a break from doing that. And so, we did a lot of bad posters, like holy crap. But, it allowed us to kind of flex a different muscle. And retail clients and just music fans in general that worked at agencies, they saw that stuff, and we started getting calls for non-music clients, which is what I had hoped for. Again, like I said, I knew this wasn't going to last forever, music. So that's really what happened. I would chalk it up to music fans that are designers, at in-house at companies, whether it's an agency, whether it's Target, and saw our stuff through music. So it was the poster world.
Dude, that's so sweet. So you said that your initial poster projects, you said, were pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, yeah, a lot. It was like a bunch of, we were just trying to figure out basically, the art of silk screening a poster. We weren't doing the prints ourselves, but understanding how to trap and all that kind of stuff. And there was a certain aesthetic that that we loved, and we wanted to kind of do work in that world. It wasn't like we were drawing hot rods and half naked chicks. That wasn't like the poster style we were into. We were into aesthetic apparatus and patent pending and those types of posters. And so that's the world that we were in. And again, I think with album packages, we've done for every cool album package that we've done that we feel like has our voice and that we're proud of, there's 5 crappy ones out there from back in the day. And I think that's same with posters.
Nice. So when you first started getting gigs, did you start picking up jobs even though you maybe didn't know an aspect or a part of it? Like, for example, let's say they ask you for, I don't know, let's see, you've done CD packaging, you've done posters, but let's say they wanted I don't know, Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead because I'm thinking like apps or something like that. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you bring up a good point. We got a job from Oregon Lottery, and that was one of the first non-music kind of bigger illustration jobs. And like like you're insinuating, it was new to us. It was like, oh, so this isn't like a poster. This isn't a CD package. This isn't vinyl. These were actually large signs that hung in supermarkets. So those types of jobs started to roll in where these were new, uh, templates. These are new sizes, and thinking about things in terms of a retail decisions, end caps, signage through stores, and yeah, there's a learning curve, and we've been working with Target for about 7 years now, and so that was a great thing as well to just learn how that world works, who the audience is, and all that. So
With a store like that, how long does it typically take, which is for one project?
it depends. We do a lot of gift cards for Target. Yeah, if you're familiar with some of their what they would call wow cards, they're toys that are also packaged really fun. Um, and we design the toy, and we also get to design the backer. In house at Target comes up with the always with the amazing idea. And some of our favorite art directors are at that company, just really special people. But um, a gift card, from start to finish, I think 3 weeks to a month. It just kind of varies. With larger seasonal projects, it can last a few months. Just kind of depends, like how many phases and concepts you go through. But typically, you know, typically projects are in the 3 to 4 week range for almost everything these days. Sometimes agencies are going to want stuff like the next day.
Yeah.
That definitely happens, but I like 3 weeks to a month. Just kind of whether that's an album, whether that's some kind of campaign for a product, or it's seasonal signage for a store. So
Nice. That's a good segue to what I want to talk about next is you've made different toys, which started off with you. I think you created a poster. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you made a poster and then you were reached out by a company, I think Super 7, to make a small batch of toys or something that's
yeah,
related to the poster. Was that?
yeah, yeah. We did a shirt for Grain Edit. You know who
Oh
Grain
yes,
Edit
Grain
is?
Edit.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Dave, that runs Grain Edit's a friend of mine. He asked us to do a shirt. I did a shirt with some reading monsters, and yeah, Brian Flynn, who owns Super 7, just reached out and asked if I wanted to make a toy out of one of the characters, and yeah, so that's where my relationship with Brian started, and he's been great, and he's helped us out with other toy projects as well. We did a Sasquatch toy for Sasquatch Festival. They did that for us. I think we were doing Target toys before then, but we had not done any kind of our own vinyl at all, especially Japanese and kind of in his world. And I was a big Super 7 fan and loved the stuff that he did. So yeah, he definitely gave us an opportunity, and I think that I've got like 30 different Leroys on my desk right now. Like that world, and the different colorways and stuff is a really really cool thing. Really small runs of toys, but yeah, Leroy's been really cool for us, and yeah, he's definitely the first toy.
Are
That
you
was
guys gonna
kind
make any more any other series or any other toys with Super 7?
Yeah, we've been talking. Nothing's on the calendar yet. We did have a project that we're kind of moving around, and we'll kind of announce that pretty soon. But not as of right now. But definitely something in the horizon. We talked quite a bit. So
It's nice. Yeah, I did see the little prototype at design or
Comic Con.
Comic Con. Yeah, saw it at Comic Con.
So yeah, he's kind of shelved right now for a few different reasons, but that world is going to be coming back kind of through a different, how do I say it, channel right now. And we're gonna announce that pretty soon. But yeah, I think he'll come out eventually. But right now he's hanging out and in San Francisco on a shelf right now. So
Hanging out on the tank, right?
exactly.
In San Francisco. So you've been working a lot on toys. You've been making a lot of different.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, talk to us about the your collaboration on the wooden toys, like the one that you have right behind you.
Yes, I've
That's
got some
super awesome.
giant versions
Yeah.
that Pete made me. Yeah, I love toys. I love characters first and foremost. I love film. I love movies, but more than that, I just love the stuff that comes from movies and TV shows, and that would be toys. And toys are, for me, obviously just a three-dimensional real cartoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I think I love them so much. But um, so we're lucky enough to do quite a few toys for Target, and we've worked on some other projects for other clients. Um, I my dad's a woodworker. He's a luthier. He makes guitars, and so wood and woodworking is a big deal, kind of in our family. So I've loved Uncle Goose and the kind of products they've put out for years. I love House Industries, and so big House fan. And so I had always loved the stuff they were doing, and I had some ideas for some wooden toys that I haven't seen yet and that didn't really exist, and reached out to Uncle Goose, and they were mutual fans of ours, and we instantly hit it off, and that's where it started. I had an idea for stacking monsters, and about a year later they came out. So I think we were discussing it about at the end of 2012, and then they came out in October, and they've done really well. We have a bunch of different things planned, a few different toy lines coming out this year, and some more iterations on Stack and Scare and whatnot. So they kind of debut this year at a new show in New York on February 1st. It's New York. It's a New York gift show. I don't know exactly what it's called, but so that's kind of their big launch for this year. We kind of teased it at a show called New York Now last year, and so they're officially ready to be purchased wholesale by vendors and stores and whatnot. So we've had them a little bit early, and there's definitely been stores that have them, but the real big push is happening in February. So
Awesome. So you
yeah,
reached out to them. That's wow. That's amazing. And it's
yeah.
just
I thought, shoot,
give it a try.
yeah.
Yeah, it
So
brings me to another question. I love the project you created with Legos, the Eye Creature packaging, and that was a gift to your clients, right?
yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that, and did that did anything blossom from that project? I mean, a lot of us out, on the internet checked it out, and we were just completely blown away by the project. But
Yeah, thanks, man.
did Lego reach out to you after that, or was it because of that project, or
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that again, that talk about just like the toy fan world being small. I mean, each year we like to basically send a cool gift that we make, either custom or something that's special for clients as a way to say thank you for projects throughout the year. And we thought it would be rad to do, an iteration of our logo as in Lego, and make it look like, a Lego set from the 80s or late 70s. And that project was pretty insane, actually, what went into it. It looks, it in the end, it's just a ball of Legos, right? But like to actually create that thing and order brand new Legos, that
specific
enough,
colors too?
exactly, enough pieces that's going to work, and print the box and use my kids as models, and all that stuff. I think we initially had it at 20 sets, and we had to go down to 6 because it was a pretty spendy project. So it was a lot of fun though. And so yeah, we put that out. We sent 6 of them out, and at the end, like right before we sent them all out, I'm like, we should probably just do like a little film or something. We got to document this. I mean, it's going to be. I don't even have one for myself. Like let's make a little film. And I think a couple weeks after the new year, we posted it, and yeah, it really it took off, which was I was surprised. I thought like the design community would be like, this is cool or whatever, but it kind of spread bigger than that. And yeah, a couple days later, we get emails from Lego, and it's kind of funny. Like you get I got an email, and I'm like, are they pissed?
Yeah.
Because it's not a sanctioned, legit Lego set. Um, but I had kind of done a little research, and a lot of people had done just kind of gift and like private Lego projects, and doesn't seem like it's a big deal. Obviously, we weren't selling these sets, so um, and turns out mutual friends. We have mutual friends that work at Lego. I mean, basically, a lot of those dudes are friends with Brian Flynn from Super Seven, and they had Leroy. They knew who we were, and like that was kind of icing on the cake. I think the Lego set, and I think uh, yeah, that started a new relationship with Lego. We went out there and spoke to their art department. Just the raddest company, exactly how you'd expect people at Lego to be. Um, and so yeah, we did a Comic Con project for some of their minifigure lines, and we're working on some more stuff with them this year. And yeah, we're now a vendor with Lego. It's crazy how that all started.
Wow.
Um, I can't say how important it is to do personal projects, just stuff that you want to do that's fun. And I mean, it's whenever there's times where we're like, what are we doing? We don't have time to do this, but every time we do it and it comes out, I'm super thankful that we put the time in to do it, because some amazing opportunities that come from that. And we have friends that would say the same thing. Matt Stevens is another designer that's done some amazing personal projects that have turned into great paying gigs. So yeah.
That's just amazing, amazing. It's incredible, and I believe it's also very important to do more and more personal projects. I had James White, Signal Noise, on the show
Yeah.
recently. He said the same thing. He was just working on personal projects for the longest time until finally someone said, "Hey, want to work with us?" Or want to work on a project together. Very, very cool. So, talk to us about any challenges. With your company, with your business, maybe even a project that just didn't go right, or didn't go the way you thought it would go. Can you tell us about what happened, and how did you take care of that situation?
Yeah, I mean, it does happen. I mean, the tricky thing about commercial art, you know, as an artist, you're pouring. I mean, you literally you're pouring your soul into these projects, and we place so much of an importance on our identities as artists, which is usually a negative. We get really just worked up in these projects, and um, you're passionate about them. You're up late, you believe in them, and things don't always go well. And so I think learning how to deal with that is important. um, if you're a fine artist and you paint, and you're just like mega popular, and people pay you a bunch of money to do whatever you want, that's cool. That's not our world, though. We you know we definitely have people that are paying us money to create something for them, and so obviously have a large say in that. And then at the end, it's their baby. And so I think that's been something that's, I think, hard to deal with. I think for a lot of artists, I think after 13 or 14 years, I'm definitely getting better at it. But not getting too committed and too tied into something, and realizing and kind of stepping back and trying to remember what it is exactly that you're getting to do for a living, and not placing too much emphasis in the fact that this particular piece for this client doesn't need to be a chunk of my soul. It can I can let it go. And I think letting it go, letting certain projects go, is big. And how you deal with that is going to speak volumes on whether or not they call you again. And I think in the end of a project, if they speak highly of you and they want to work with you again, that for me, that's what it is. It's about relationships, and it's about um, not burning bridges, and you know, on a human level, working through projects, and not placing too much of an importance on this piece of art, but what is the end result? Who you know, who's the audience? And you know, maybe it's not me. Maybe you know, I don't need to put such a stranglehold on this piece. So like most artists, we get worked up and into our projects. And I think dealing with that and failure and you know, is critical. In terms of has it happened? Absolutely. We really try to streamline things these days now, where we try to alleviate that. We build in milestones to our proposals now. You know, you're going to see art at this point. You're going to see it again before we get too deep. You know, you're going to see it again before we go into the ink and paint phase, is what I call it, where it's kind of the point of no return, where I put a lot of time into the basically finished carpentry of the project, you know. So milestones are big for us. We really like to keep an open channel of communication during the entire process, and that has helped a ton. I think if you get a project, you spend you know, you work on your sketches, you turn them in, and then you know, they like one, and you just go full bore on the final, and you almost finish it, and you turn it in, and they're like, well, you know, I kind of thought it was going to look more like this. We really try to loop them in before it even gets to that point. So milestones is key, and you know, again, this is just from us learning, you know, how it goes, and not to get our to safeguard our heart getting crushed by the client. It's been great. So communication, I can't say enough about just communication. Sometimes I will just, you know, I'll talk to a client a few times during the day. Like, I'll work for 4 hours. Boom. What do you think of this? Just real quick. Love it. Or, hey, what if you tweak this? You know, some artists shudder at the idea of that, but for me, it's actually been a smooth way to get the project done and actually to have everyone be happy at the same time. Um, you know, another thing that a lot of designers or artists don't think about in the beginning is that, you know, if you want to do this on your own, you know, understanding how to run a business is key. And that was something I didn't think about. I just wanted to be an artist, like, you know, like my grandfather, and I wanted to work on my own and you know, have our own brand and be able to be self-sufficient. But and you know, it's that old adage, you know, like, oh, it must be great to have your own boss. Well, the you know, the caveat is that actually, no, I've got like 30 bosses, you know, and I've got to answer to all of them. And so, you know, obviously everyone knows the benefits of working for yourself or owning a company, but I think there's a lot of drawbacks too that people don't necessarily think about. And it's a high stress. You know, it can be a high stress career choice. I know that for us, it's, you know, it can be stressful, and I think it's important to take those times, you know, of vacation and just breaks and just step away. But if you're wanting to get into commercial art and kind of run your own thing, I think it's important to understand that A, you need an accountant. You know, B, you need to know how to talk with people and just build relationships. And just from a social aspect, understand people is I think just key.
Would you say that even today, things are pretty much high stress with projects, or have you sort of built a system to, I don't know, to sort of streamline everything and have any systems in place?
Yeah, I'm getting better at that. We tend to be kind of a fly by our seat type design studio. You know, we you know, we get asked to do some cool stuff. You know, and it's hard because I love so many aspects of art, and what's great is we do get requests from just every corner of the art world, and so We are definitely way better at saying no these days. And if we're just too loaded down, of course we're going to do that. But it's a matter of having a good sense of when projects are starting and ending, is key. If you take a bunch of projects that are all due at the same time, you're going to end up dropping the ball on all of them. And then, then you're in deep crap. So it's just, I think, a matter of time management. And I'm not the best at that, but I try, I'm trying, and I've definitely gotten better over the years. I think carving out enough time in the morning for emails and kind of the business correspondence and stuff like that with clients, and then kind of the afternoon for actually doing what I love, which is drawing. So time management's huge, for sure.
Awesome, man. Any last piece of advice you would have for the creative professional or the aspiring designer artist out there? Something that you maybe wish someone had told you before you sort of dove into an independent creative career?
Are we talking specifically for folks that are looking to do it on their own?
I'd say, that's a good question. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's a two. There are designers that want to work at an agency and be part of a team, and that I think that's different than saying, well, I want to run my own thing, and so the counsel maybe is a little bit different, but again, something that I had to learn. I kind of hit on it. I hit on it earlier, but just understanding people and just understanding that this is about people. It's about it. Commercial art is about working with other people and relationships, and just understanding how to navigate that and keep relationships going. Because I feel like one of the reasons we've been blessed so much with cool projects over the years is I think clients pass around our name and, hey, you should check these guys out. They were cool to work with or whatever. And I think that's helped. And I think that has spoken volumes for us. Understanding the niche that you want to work in too. There's, I talk a lot about this when people ask, but I've had countless, students and aspiring artists and designers kind of saying, well, I love to draw. I love drawing landscape scenes, or I love drawing this or whatnot. And how do I do what you did? And it's such a broad question. It's kind of like, well, where do you start? I mean, for us as kids, we turned our childhood, what we love to do for play into our job, because that was like what we were, that's what we were focused on doing. We wanted to draw for our job. And so, we didn't get into music to make money. We didn't start drawing to make money. We just wanted to do it because we loved it and we immersed ourselves in it. And the money came later. That's not everyone's story, though. Not everyone's going to be like, well, I love plumbing, so I'm just going to plumb, and then I'll get a job plumbing. The art world is different than that. So instead of maybe saying, well, how can I get started in this field? Well, what do you love doing? What you should know the trajectory of where you want to go at a certain point in life after realizing what it is you love to do. And I think everyone can answer that question. I think if you have to go, well, I don't really dig anything. I think you do. I think everyone digs something. And it's about, do I make that career or do I not? There's honor in all jobs. And I think if you want to go the trajectory of art, kind of figure out what is it that you're passionate about, man? Do you love film? Do you want to do movie posters, film posters? Go that route. That's, if you want to do that, Los Angeles is where go to Los Angeles. I mean, I think it's just about understanding that niche. And I was fans of specific niches of art. And, we used to read Thrasher magazine, and you look in the back, and, there's all these weird logos, and you're like, what is that? If I send $1, I get a bunch of stickers. I didn't know what it was, but it was like this brand that like no one else knew about. And this, it's like the Bones Brigade logo was just, it was so punk rock, and like it was, subversive, because it was like this skull, and it was like, I want to be part of that. I want to give, I want a shirt. Like so we wanted to build something along the lines of that, where like people wanted to kind of to get behind it, for the sheer fact that you could tell that the people behind it loved what they were doing. And we love what we get to do. And I don't, I feel like for our own stuff, I don't want to do it if I wouldn't personally, wear it, or, have it on my shelf. And so, anyways,
that's a good way to
I guess that's a long-winded answer to your question.
No, man, that's great. That's great. And actually, you answered both, whether if you want to go off on your own or if you just want to pursue this sort of career. So I was going to ask you anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think putting in your time is key. If you want to kind of do your own thing, I think, work at an agency for a few years, see how it works. It's fast paced, it's late nights, it's dealing with crazy clients. You're going to have to do that on your own anyway. So whether or not you want to go do it on your own, or you want to work at, in a team, you still are working with people. And I think in the end, it's just about figuring out how, at what aspect of that do you want to work in, and do you want to live in? So,
excellent advice, man. Do you have a book that you might recommend to an aspiring creative professional designer artist?
I'm like, I have a zillion books, and so yeah, it's hard to nail one. Honestly, what kind of changed kind of our life in terms of like, this is what I want to do, is when we saw Sagmeister's first book, with the dog on it.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on. I'll find out.
It's in a box somewhere. So that, of course, is, Sagmeister commentary with his like amazing works of art. And
there it is. It's called Made You Look.
Made You Look. That was given to me by a friend, Chris McCadden, designer.
Oh, nice.
Designer friend from LA, and he sent that to me, and I remember that was kind of like, well, look at what this guy's doing with CD packaging, and the stuff that we were doing with albums is we were just trying to attain some kind of Sagmeister level with what we were doing. So that definitely changed my life. And then in terms of illustration, Jim Flora is kind of one of my all-time favorite illustrators. I named my daughter after him. So yeah, just I'd say those two guys kind of in two distinct different design professions definitely were inspirational. So any book by Sagmeister, any book by Jim Flora. So
sweet.
Yeah.
Where can we find you? Online, in person?
In person, wandering the streets of Seattle. Online, invisible. Let's see, Twitter. We're probably most active on Instagram and Twitter these days. I like to keep content nice and short. So yeah, at iCreature on both of those. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, Don, thank you so much for being on the show today. And everyone, you'll be able to find everything that we talked about here, all the links, and I'll actually post that video of that Lego video you guys created. It was amazing.
Right.
Amazing. You've created several videos already, but that was just, I was just mind blown. So,
thank you.
But anyhow, I'll have that on pencilversuspixel.com / you know what? I'll do it. I'll do this. I'll have it on pencilversuspixel.com / iCreature. How about that? How's that sound, Don?
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me on. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Don, so much. And everyone, thank you for being on the show today. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, man.